Hi, Skull here. We're back to our usual game of Abomination Vaults this week. However, unfortunately, Sesto's player was absent. Since we left off during a fight, I controlled him for the remainder of that battle and then had him go check on his dad. Having this family emergency is pretty useful for backseating a character for a while. I could have controlled Sesto for the entire session, however, GMs already have so much to think about, and I'd prefer not to have a missing PC end up in a deadly situation, which is why I sent him away. The players are also now level 3, while still interacting with the floor that was designed for level 2 characters, so the balance remained pretty okay. You might remember that when we left off, our heroes were fighting Zoslarin, the Zebub. They had entered the room containing his cleaning supplies and made a bunch of noise that caused him to investigate. Zaslarin is trapped in an awful contract with the deceased Belcora, in which he must spend 18 hours a day confined to his room and the other 6 cleaning. What makes this worse is that he is compelled to use his tongue for 3 of those hours. As you can imagine, he was in a foul mood, and the sight of these thieving intruders made him attack on sight. Partially to stop them from causing more mess, but also because it's an excuse to do anything other than clean. We got a few rounds of combat in before we ended the previous session, and during that time, the party had dealt pretty good damage to Zoslarin. In response, he had just summoned a weak swarm of spiders. Picking things straight up from that moment, the spiders didn't last long at all. Sesto went immediately after Zoslarin, and before the spiders could even act, Tiny and Sesto destroyed them. They only had 8 hit points and 14 AC, so they proved to be a total non threat to our party. The group had learnt that Zebubs were weak to holy damage, however, they actually lacked a way of dealing this damage type. Ornifex is a cleric that uses Divine Lance, however, she chose not to be sanctified when she made her character. This means that she can't turn the spirit damage from Divine Lance into holy damage. I've since explained to her why being sanctified might be a good idea, and she has agreed, so I'm going to work in some future in game quest that is going to allow her to become sanctified. For all you GMs thinking of running this adventure one day, I'd advise that you encourage your clerics to be sanctified holy, as it is a useful damage type to be picked up for this particular adventure. So Slorin didn't survive much longer than his pitiful spiders, as crits from Ornifex and Rock slayed the devil before he could act again. The adventure path does say that he begins to beg for his life and offers to reveal a memory to the party using his Infernal Eye ability. However, our party doesn't actually understand any of his languages, and between Boss Skrong, Grawlgust, the upcoming Mimnivix, and the ghouls, there's a lot of opportunity to speak with the monsters of this adventure, and I think they appreciated the chance to just kind of kill something. As Rock ran the Zebub through, I described it dying with what began as like a baby screaming sound and then transitioned into a more demonic screech as its life faded. The deeper our heroes go into this adventure, the more horrific the encounters become. I've started our adventure as quite a light-hearted and almost campy horror vibe. However, I do plan on slowly transitioning it to actual horror as we progress through the story. I immediately had Sesto tell the party that he needed to check on his dad and leave, so that our 4 present players could get on with the activities of the day. May collected the silver cane sword, the item that she had been reaching for when the battle began, and stored it away for Sesto as she felt that it would suit him. The fact it's made of a low grade silver and he's hunting a werewolf doesn't hurt either. Meanwhile, Rock poked his head into the room that Zoslarin had appeared from. The walls of this room have been painted crudely and almost childishly to depict a horrific hellscape of burning mountains, rusting cities, and tormented souls. He saw nothing of value in the room, so left it alone. Ornifex took the time to patch up May a bit, and then they checked out the southern door, the clockwork storage. A pair of hulking humanoid objects stand quietly in this chamber, each covered in a thick layer of dust. These clockwork assistants have been damaged beyond any hope of repair, but they do offer a small hoard of treasure to anyone brave enough to fiddle with them. 8 gemstones can be plucked from them, each worth 5 gold pieces.
Milo, you do know tools well, right? What do you think about those gems? Do you think they mm, might activate the golems?
I don't really know. They seem kind of dead, but there's no telling if there are other sources of power, maybe within them, some kind of reserve. It's hard to say.
Do you think we could, you know, pick them out, maybe?
Probably.
Tina has really been leaning into the magpie side of Ornifex during this adventure, so the law of shiny gems was too much to resist. She plucked one from the inert assistant, and when nothing terrible happened, she snatched the rest up too. As a GM, a lot of our drama can come from gotcha moments, especially in an ancient dungeon such as this. There's a fine line you need to walk between making it dangerous to mess with everything, but not making everything they mess with dangerous. You don't want your players to feel safe because that removes any tension. However, you also can't make everything they touch dangerous because then they'll never interact with anything you put in front of them, including plot devices. I'm glad this adventure is aware of that and has its fair share of both dangerous and totally fine things to interact with. May tried to give the golems a closer look, but her lack of crafting knowledge meant she really didn't learn much beyond them being clockwork and very, very broken. I think this was kind of what she wanted to hear, though, as she seemed happy that they would not be sparking to life anytime soon. She closed the door, and our heroes filtered back into the processional. They'd been aware of the green glow around this doorframe for a long while now, but had been avoiding it. Even now, they debated the idea of checking the doors to the west first. However, curiosity finally got the better of them, and they gathered around the door to the haunted washroom. This 10-foot square washroom features an iron bathing tub to the north and a commode to the southwest. The northern wall glows and shimmers with rippling ribbons of eerie green light. Rock swung the door open and revealed a green tinted washroom to the party. Immediately, the light began to coalesce into a green ribbon of light that traced letters through the air. I was Atari, save me from below. Moments later, the letters reformed into a tendril of energy and slithered away towards the west, disappearing under a door. When the Rose Guard had battled Belcora 500 years ago, it was believed that the group's rogue, Atari Ilvashti, had been killed. In reality, he had survived for several days by hiding in rooms throughout the dungeon. These three rooms have become infused with the desperate echoes of his spirit, and as such, provide clues as to the mystery of his disappearance. Our heroes did give chase after the light, but only after hesitating for a moment to recall who Atari was and figure out if they could trust him.
It was
So this is a
Rosegard.
good spirit then.
Maybe, probably, but you never know about ghosts. They could be corrupted by time and ambient energies and hate for the living.
He seemed pretty polite. He left.
Yeah.
Didn't do any like oogie boogie woogie woogie shit.
I mean,
I think that was the oogie boogie woogie shit.
Yeah, I agree with Rock on this one. Saying cryptic words in glowing letters and then squiggling away like a sky eel or something. That's kind of spooky.
I mean, what'd you expect him to do? Write you a letter in parchment? If he needs help, he's trying his best, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for sure. But don't blame me if
Mhm.
we get attacked by ghosts soon.
They followed the light through the door, along the following corridor, and then paused at the next door. They started into the reception room, however, they paused for a second when the large bones began to pull themselves together. A ruined table and several destroyed chairs lie in a heap in the center of this room, along with several large bones. Rock saw the flicker of green light fade from beyond the opposite door, and after a second to discuss the plan, our heroes began to sprint through the room, hoping to get past the forming skeleton before it was fully reformed. I didn't begin initiative, but I did allow our players 3 actions each to navigate this room, with clever use of their movement and interacts, and acting in an order that made tactical sense. They managed to pass through the room and close the door behind them before the giant skeleton could fully form. I described the sound of bones clattering back to the ground as they closed the door, so while they avoided the threat this time, they know it's still waiting for them next time they pass through. By now, the light had vanished. Before they had the chance to assess the situation, Ornifex triggered the brown mold on the muddy beach. It expanded and froze the air around her, dealing cold damage. The group began to try and figure out this hazard using recall knowledge checks and trying different ideas. They quickly learned that it could be safely removed with a trained survival check. However, after a few failed attempts, they began to discuss fleeing back towards the skeleton or moving past it and swimming south. I gave them a slight nudge here, as it was clear that they were about to lose the trail and miss this secret door. I reminded them that the seek action was something that they could try, although I praised it as though it was in reference to dealing with the brown mold. OneFX used the seek action and successfully found the secret door. Wasting no time and wanting to avoid dealing with the brown mold for any longer, they opened the door and hurried below. This is the first time that our group has been to the library level of the Gauntlight, and luckily, I haven't scaled up these encounters to 5 players yet, so everything could be ran as normal. After a short descent, our heroes emerged into a corridor. This opened up a lot of options for directions they could go. There was an ascending staircase to the north, a door to the east, and a small room to the west that seemed hazy with a thick fog. Rock made the decision to go west into the guard room. Thick clouds of white mist filled this room entirely, making it difficult to discern any details. Almost immediately upon his entrance to the room, he was struck by an obscured tentacle, and we rolled initiative. Originally, Belcora had 3 mist stalkers protecting this room, however, Atari had managed to kill 2 of them during his desperate escape through the Gauntlight. One still remained, though, and had struck out against the strange intruder. Mist stalkers are water elementals that have become infused with mist. They constantly pour a magical mist into the space around them, and they have the ability to solidify that mist, making it difficult terrain to move through, or even fully trapping a creature within it. The biggest threat of a Mist Stalker, though, is that everything in the mist is concealed, but the Mist Stalker can ignore this, meaning everybody else is stuck making flat DC5 checks whenever they want to target something, except for the Mist Stalker. Our party mobilized immediately to help Rock. At first, they struggled to handle the mist as they failed their flat checks and whiffed attacks. Ornifex chose to remain at the perimeter of the mist's range, but Milo charged straight in. He used his thaumaturge abilities to gain a personal antithesis on the Mist Stalker, as they have no real weaknesses, and was also able to incorporate a recall knowledge into this success. He analyzed ways to deal with the mist and determined that the only viable option is to blow the mist away with a powerful gust of wind. Unfortunately, this isn't something our heroes are able to do. Rock did manage to get hit on the Miststalker, however, the elemental retaliated by sealing him in solidified mist and whipping its tentacles at Milo. May used hit and run tactics to rush into the mist, pummel the creature, and then back out of its reach again. Meanwhile, Ornifex used healing magic and ranged cantrips to support the group from beyond the mist.
Does it make any noises?
What, when you're like stabbing it and stuff?
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like if you gagged a whale and then it made its like sound, like it's really like distant, uncomfortable whale noises.
Oh,
Nice.
that's really sad. I kind of thought it'd be more like.
It's not a Monsters Inc. thing.
I mean, I want it to be.
It would be awesome if it was.
It took several rounds of combat, during which the Miststalker slammed its tentacles into Rock and Milo, even grappling and constricting Rock at one point, but eventually our heroes did manage to bring down the creature. This fight was only a low threat, so I hadn't been expecting much danger from the Miststalker. It's fun to have these easier fights where our heroes can just enjoy themselves, especially considering how this session ended. With the elemental dead, the mist it spawned quickly dissipated, allowing our heroes to properly look at the room. Ornifex and May noticed the hidden compartment in the wall, and the group scooped up a small hoard of potions. They recognized the lesser healing potions and the Skeptic's elixir, however, there was a few potions they didn't recognize. These are 2 lesser Bravos elixirs and a bark skin potion. Even after Milo tried to sit down and identify them, a failure meant that they have remained a mystery. Ornifex patched up Rock and herself, and although May was also badly damaged, she still had 30 minutes on her treat wounds immunity. Rock took the 2 healing potions, and May took the Skeptic's elixir, leaving Milo with the unknown potions. Then they gathered their things and headed through the northern door. This led them to a short corridor with 2 doors. They stopped at the first door and saw a staircase ascending beyond it. Curious where it would come out on the above floor, they headed up to check. Thanks to their location on the map, they did recognize the area they were in before they opened the door, and a little bit of PTSD kicked in.
No.
Oh shit.
No, 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 no.
You don't know where you are. You've never been behind this door.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna open this door, I guess,
Oh,
because we
shit.
were going up here to check where we end up, so... Hello?
You see a familiar contraption.
Do I see a familiar
know what?
flesh log?
No.
Hello?
Remember, it got out of the room.
It's
Alright.
probably smushing around up here or something.
Guys, it's the flesh room.
Shut the door.
Yeah, let's not be here right now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Right, yeah.
Their level up to 3rd level was still not enough for them to want to mess with the blood siphon again, so they closed the door and did what can only be described as skedaddled. Curiosity satiated, they gathered at the other door. Then, without any preparation, opened the door to Corlock's post. The walls of this empty room are decorated with hundreds upon hundreds of tiny little hash marks, as if someone has been counting the days for ages. To the northwest, an iron door with a barred window sits in the wall, a large but open padlock hanging from the door's latch. Corlock, the barbazus within the room, was a little surprised by the sudden appearance of our heroes. While not the longest posting he's had, he is still incredibly bored and more than a little fed up with his situation. However, his contract still stands. As such, he began to half-heartedly arrest our heroes. As intruders, I'm gonna have to put you under arrest. Please hand over your gear and step into the adjoining prison.
Guys, I don't want to go to jail right now.
Me neither. We've already done that arc, and it wasn't very fun.
Are there any other prisoners you have right now? Or is it just us?
No, the prison is currently empty and ready for you.
So
Wonder
it's
who's.
empty, there's nobody in there.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna close the door.
Who's. Oh my god.
Corlock wasn't exactly a job-proud person, but he did take his contract seriously. As such, he did hurry forward and open the door right back up again. Excuse me. Prison.
Under whose orders?
Lady Belcour.
When did she give you these orders exactly?
Several centuries ago. But the contract remains. Please give me your gear and step into the prison.
What if we say no?
And as intruders, I'll have to put you down. Corlock saw no issues being honest with the group, and since his information was very out of date, it meant that I could throw some red herrings towards our heroes to throw them off the scent of what is actually happening within the Gauntlight.
You said a contract. What are you getting out of the contract? Maybe we can make you a better offer?
The contract's still in effect, and I cannot take a new contract until the old contract is fulfilled.
What if it was void? Or fulfilled? So, I mean, how can we help you fulfill it?
Well, Belcour is obviously dead, but I don't have access to my contract to study it for loopholes.
Where is it?
I am not entirely sure. It's somewhere hidden within the library. We could make a trade. I'll let you go just this once, and in return, you'll find my contract and bring it to me.
I mean, that sounds like a great idea.
It sounds very fair.
Yeah. Does he sound obviously bored?
I always find questions like this amusing, because it means my role-playing is both good enough that they get exactly the vibe I want them to, but also bad enough that they have to check. Milo began to question the devil about the contract.
It can't be nice being stuck down here for so long with only that mist lurker as company. What does the contract look like? Is there a name or anything that we should be on the lookout for?
Corlock.
Corlock. That's a cool name.
Yeah, right.
Corlock the probably demon.
Do we have a deal?
Oh yeah. I think we're all in agreement here.
He slowly nods to himself and then closes the door. With a deal, but not a contract, struck, Corlock began to pretend that he hadn't seen them so that they could leave. Corlock's contract is in the secret scriptorium to the eastern side of the library level. It's hidden behind another secret door, which our group has been very successful in finding, so I have faith that they'll be able to locate this contact in due time. For now, though, our heroes took this good fortune and retreated from the door. Corlock is an unenthused staff member, but he can be truly brutal in a fight, so avoiding that eventuality is a big win for them. Our heroes went through the southern door of the guard room and followed the corridor until they reached another green lit door. They swung it open to reveal a reading room.
An ancient, tattered sofa sits against the east wall of this room. The south wall shimmers with strange green light.
Again, the light began to trace writing in the air. Belcora fell to the Rose Guard, but we never knew of these vaults below. Again, the light darted away, slithering between their legs and disappearing down the eastern corridor. This time, our party was ready and they gave chase immediately. They rushed along behind it, and as it phased through the door into the main library, our heroes burst through the door in pursuit.
Hundreds of stone shelves are carved into the walls of this 15-foot wide hallway. While there are many gaps in the collection, a staggering number of books, scrolls, and folios remain. Signs hang above several doors off this hall. A faint blue glow flickers beneath a sign to the south.
Unfortunately for our heroes, this room was currently occupied by 4 ghouls, which, curiously and hungrily, shuffled closer to the new arrivals. These ghouls are members of the cult of the Canker, and they were eager to feed on the intruders. Are you here to donate your flesh to the Canker?
Absolutely not.
Ah! Combat began as the ghouls desperately launched themselves at our heroes. I ran the ghouls purposefully suboptimally for this encounter, as I know firsthand how deadly ghouls can be if things go badly. I had them charge to the nearest heroes, not really considering flanking or positioning, and just swing at the group, regardless of how bad the multi-attack penalty got. This meant that most ghoul attacks missed during this fight. However, when they did hit, quite a few of them became crits just due to the sheer quantity of attacks being made. The fight risked becoming a bottleneck as the ghoul was blocking the entrance into the room, so Rock used reposition to move the ghoul aside. This allowed our heroes to pour into the main library and a large skirmish began. Unfortunately, as Rock and May backed towards the Gauntlight reading room, they got so close that it became impossible to ignore the 3 additional ghouls in that room. These ghouls are supposed to join the fight after about 4 rounds, so having them join during the first round was really dangerous and pushed the encounter into an extreme difficulty fight. One of these ghouls was a cult of the Canker cultist, and these guys are both physically stronger, but can also cast an array of nasty spells. On its first turn, it hit May with a critical Ray of Enfeeblement, which resulted in her having enfeebled 3 for the remainder of the battle. Aside from this initial hiccup, the group actually rolled very well on their saving throws against the ghoul's melee attacks. At first, despite her enfeeblement, May did land a critical hit that, thanks to her brawler specialization, meant the ghoul ended up being slowed, and over a few rounds they began to kill a couple of the ghouls while slowly taking gradual damage themselves. Eventually, this led to a great moment where Ornifex cast Heal 3 to give the entire party a boost in health while damaging all the ghouls, only for the Canker cultist to cast Harm 3 for substantially higher damage, healing all the surviving ghouls back to full and smashing away the heals that Ornifex had provided.
Bam.
Damn. Okay.
So. Pew, 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 pew.
I can hear the sound of like an AoE hitting. Oh no.
I want to re-roll that. That makes me sad.
And then cast Harm and do a 3 Emanation.
He does the opposite of what we just.
He does.
Aww.
Bro.
So they'll heal 8, and you guys need to make Fortitude saving throws.
He just dabbed on you.
This move began to compound the group's problems, and soon after, Milo failed a saving throw against a ghoul's bite and was both paralyzed and infected with ghoul fever. This disease has 1 day of onset and a low DC, so it's unlikely it will lead to much. However, if his rolls are bad, it can eventually lead to death and undeath as a risen ghoul. The more pressing issue was the paralysis. On the following round, May also failed a saving throw against a ghoul's claw attack, and while she isn't infected with ghoul fever, she is paralyzed. With 2 of our heroes paralyzed and only 2 of the 7 ghouls dead, we ended the session at this pretty crucial moment. Things are looking bad for our heroes. However, I'm not going to panic yet. The group has a lot of potions, and Ornifex still has 2 casts of heal left and a wand of heal. If they can have Milo and May break out of their paralysis, they could come back from this. Being paralyzed is nowhere near as brutal as it is in 5th edition D&D. Not all melee attacks are crits, for example. In addition to this, hopefully Sesto is back next session, and he and Tiny can charge in and hopefully come to the rescue, or die with them if the rolls don't go their way. They'll also all get their hero points back. It's a dire situation, but it's far from unwinnable. I did a poll on the channel recently, asking about how to handle combats, and the winner was a middle ground between summarizing the fights and detailing the best moments. Doing it this way has allowed me to spend a bit more time on describing the thoughts of NPCs or providing additional details about the adventure path, which is probably great for fellow GMs, but also much more spoilery about upcoming encounters. Let me know if you prefer this new approach and if you're getting value out of the additional time spent on explaining the adventure more. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it hugely helps us grow in a very hard to grow space. And feel free to join my Discord if you want to reach out to me or chat with other Pathfinder 2e GMs. There's a link in the description. That's all from me for now, so go have fun running your own games, and I'll see you soon. Bye.